So at that point, I got positive confirmation that my family is doing okay, and they're setting their plan into action, because we'll have a standard operating procedure of what to do when this scenario has taken place. And so will I. So she knows I'm safe and I'm coming home, and I know they're safe and they're doing their thing. Then from that point on, radio silence until the next check-in point, where X miles away I'll check again, check again, check again until I make it home. So okay, at this point I run out of gas. I abandon and I hit the road, beat feet at home. So this goes away, my little car goes away, and there's my walkie-talkie right there. And so far I made it this far. I have my scanner with me, or the radio that I have is capable of scanning, but a dedicated scanner scans the airwaves a lot faster. It's got a faster clock. Its only sole function is to scan the airwaves, so it does that super fast. My wife has got a scanner as well. From an HT, even though I got a 5-mile radius here from HT to HT, from the elevation up there on the hill, 5,000 feet, I got positive comms reaching this hill here. It's a little bit scratchy, but it's there. So at this point, I got my binoculars out, I'm scanning the roads, I'm scanning the airwaves, and I'm slowly making my way home and try to avoid any confrontation out in the street. What more than likely will people have as their comm setup? More than likely, because of price and availability, they will have those bubble wrap radios, the FRS, GMRS radios. They don't have a very good range. They're in the 400 megahertz range at that, so that doesn't really have a long haul as far as range. These pennies here represents 1 HT, because they don't have base stations for FRS radios. So here's a group of them here, let's say a gang or a little surviving prepper group here in the city here, and they're using that as their basis for comms, because that's all they could afford at the time, or whatever, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly fine. And here are my 5-mile range. So now there's another type of radio, the GMRS radios, GMRS/FRS radios. They're the dual band like that. They have both services. By law, those antennas cannot be taken out, exchanged. It has to be permanently fixed. And some of them, if you transmit on the GMRS frequency, do not transmit more than 2 watts, even though they're rated for 5 or more. But because of engineering or the cheapness of the device, they're only transmitting 2.5 watts on the GMRS frequencies. So it's on 400 megahertz is represented by these quarters. That is their range. Here's another FRS radio talking to his buddy over here. And here's a lone survivor here, just scanning or just talking, try to get a hold of anybody. So with the scanner, you could estimate how far they are from you. Let's say this 38 shell casing here represents me and my backpack going home, and I walk towards this group over here, and they're talking. I look down on my scanner. I'm at the edge of their maximum range of the FRS frequency, 400 megahertz. I'm in oak woods and cattle land, let's say. If I look down on my scanner and I see that it's a FRS frequency, I know they are at least 2 miles away. That is the range. Just using my scanner, I'm just listening now. Either I stay put and observe, or if it's nighttime or something like that, backtrack another way, going back home. Get into this group here. I hear them talking. That's the edge. I know they're 2 miles away from me there. I'm going back some other way. I stay put for the night. Have my scanner on. I'm listening. Once in a while I'm scanning everything. Here's this guy here with this GMRS radio talking. he's on foot, because I know there's no roads out there or whatever, and I hear his traffic, I know he's 4 miles away at least. And depending on how, if the signal gets clearer and clearer, he's coming my way. If it's getting more degraded, a lot more static, he's going away from me. That is the power of the scanner, how you could use the scanner to estimate the direction they're going or coming. So let's sit tight and wait what happens as far as all these other activity around me here. This couple here, this FRS group, is walking this way. Just as a scenario, this guy starts to go home, or the opposite direction. He stops to drop off out of my scanner range. Now I get this guy here. He's coming closer. He transmits on the radio on a ham channel. That would tell me that he's on a handheld at least, and he's at least 5 miles away from me. He could be in a vehicle 20 miles away from me. I don't know, but I have to assume the worst case scenario. He's 5 to 7 miles away from me on foot on a handheld. So that is a good way to sort of use the scanner to gauge distance from anybody around you. All right, scenario, he goes away, and just like a football move, I see the gap here, and I start to go home. I'm home. I have a scanner at home on a disc cone antenna on my property here, and I'm doing the same thing. I'm just scanning. By this time, I don't need to get on the radio anymore, unless the prepper group down here, my friend over at the valley, wants an update or something like that. In any event, same thing. If I see these groups of ham radio operators with their radios come near me, their signal is going to get stronger, and I'll know they're coming my way. Here's a GMRS group here, and again, as a reference, the size of the quarter indicates the range of their radios. Here we're talking about 3 to 4 miles. This is 5 miles, 5 to 7 miles. Your FRS radios, a small penny here, and 1.5 miles range. So if one of these guys come close and I hear him on my radio or my scanner, I know that individual is really close, and I need to take precautions. So let's say all these little individual groups here have a scanner, and they're deploying it. They see my video and they're deploying this the same way I've showed them on the video. They're using it as a intelligence gathering device, and they know if they hear the simplex repeater up here on the GMRS radio service, more than likely it's going to be those small bubble packs, and I'm supposedly 1 or 2 miles away from them. If I make an announcement over the air saying, okay guys, mount up, we're going to hit the gas station in 30 minutes, load up with your assault weapons, just hypothetically, all these guys around in the 80-mile radius of this repeater could hear that traffic if they're scanning, and they're gonna shit their pants more, or be on the high ready state. I don't know, it's just a thought that could happen. These guys here in this major city are going to be scrambling. These guys here as well, they're going to be in high ready alert. And also these guys over here, my buddy down here in the valley, he'll probably be laughing and knowing exactly what I'm doing. So, because remember, the GMRS radio service is one of 8 frequencies. There are not many frequencies to choose from. That is just a reality that I have to abide by during peacetime. But like I said, if I get my act together and I get the upgrades that I want to do to my setup up here in the hill, as soon as I get home, my comm plan will change. It will turn from a GMRS radio service frequency to another UHF frequency that's totally left field of everything, that's not following conventional standards or means. It's going to be a true guerrilla comm setup. They more than likely will still be able to scan me, but they will not be able to respond or hack into the repeater. Possibly, unless you're someone that really knows what they're doing, and you could crack the code and get in there. It's not difficult. But during the shit hit the fan situation, who's got the time for that? Now with my long range or intermediate range simplex repeater over here, I don't want to glare you guys out with the light bulb. The light bulb there is representing the radiation pattern of my antenna. So it's casting light throughout my map here. Now here's a phenomenon that you're going to face if you have the same setup with a bunch of mountains and ridges and stuff like that. It's going to be dead spots. And the condition called shadowing. Shadowing meaning at 5,000 feet up sea level, this thing is transmitting. It's going to cast its radio waves over these obstacles here, and radio waves are the same speed as light waves, or they exhibit almost the same sort of parameters. So in this spot here, you see there's a shadow cast over myself here and my prepper friend here in the valley. And this is what I'm experiencing right now. It's a little bit staticky around here. And if I go if I snug up too much against this mountain here, I'm going to be blocked from my repeater here. It's not line of sight anymore, depicted by the shadow of the light bulb here. So at this spot here, I'm going to lose connectivity. That's why at 80 miles away here in the valley, at the outer edge here, I get better communication than I do way up close here, 30 miles away from the repeater. But I'm in the shadow of this ridge here. Until I reach this gap here, or climb the mountain or the ridge here on the other side, is when I retain connectivity back to the repeater, where I have connectivity back to the house. So shadowing is a real problem to look out for. You can see it more pronounced in this example here. This 4,000 feet mountain there is cutting in half my buddy here, his house here. So this side of the mountain, or of the shadow, I may have really poor comms here, but as soon as I get over to the light, I got positive connectivity. In real life, it exhibits that characteristics over here in this wooded area there. I go camping a lot over here, fishing or whatever, and I exhibit the same conditions there. Another problem or phenomenon that you may encounter is something called RF capture, and it's somewhat the basis for jamming. Since I'm using the GMRS radio service, I have one of 8 frequencies to choose from, so I don't have a lot of selection. That's why it's important for you guys to get your ham license, because you'll have a buttload of selection. And after the collapse, it wouldn't matter anyway, but that's the progression of things. But let's say, and this is real life, there's some sort of utility outfit out here somewhere, I think a pumping plant or something to do with water, that's on the GMRS channel that I'm on, that I'm operating out of my repeater over here, the output of my repeater, which is the frequency that I'm listening to. Let's say this is me over here. If I get too close to these guys here, they might capture my receiver, meaning when they transmit, it's on the same frequency that I'm listening to, and if I get close enough to them, their transmit power is going to overpower my receiver. So unless they're not transmitting, I will not be able to hear the traffic coming out of that repeater. Since it's a low power repeater, it's only 5 watts. These guys here, I think they're running 5 watts, but they may have a base station in there that's running 20 watts, which they're legally capable of having. Personally, I don't think they have a license. I never heard them call their license, but that's another issue. But this is the a problem that I'm facing now. So my next visit, when I go up to the mountain to do some maintenance, I'm going to have to change that GMRS frequency to another frequency to avoid these guys over here. From this time until I get up there, I'm scanning all the GMRS frequencies to see who else is using it. So that could be another problem that you may be facing. Like I said, during the collapse or after the collapse, all bets are off. I'm going to use something totally in left field. So that's pretty much my comm plan in a nutshell. Later on, let's say for example, this particular incident lasts for 1 or 2 years, and I'm living off of my preps. We're doing a garden and all that stuff. Our security is okay. The girls are good shots, and things are going according to plan, which, you know, in a perfect world it does, but you know, that's why we prepare for such things. But anyway, let's say I have my scanner going and we're listening at night for entertainment or just general security, and I'm hearing this group over here. I know exactly where they are because I've already triangulated their position using my scanner. With a Yagi antenna, you could point, if you point this way, you're not going to hear the traffic or static. So it's going to be like static, 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 stronger, stronger, stronger signal, then static. So you could pretty much judge where they are located using that method.